I recently installed some anchors in a hollow wall using Simpson Set XP. Today I'm going to do a review on this epoxy and show you guys exactly what to expect when you buy this. Hi everybody, I'm Jim Dierdorf and this is Detroit DIY. So I recently installed a ledger board for a deck on a concrete block wall. It was hollow, was not grouted, and I used the Simpson Set XP. I used the Simpson mesh screens, and I used stainless steel threaded rod, 1/2 inch, and I also bought their application gun. There were some issues here too, not necessarily with the gun, but I'm going to show you what's going on right now. I don't say this very often, but guys, if you would, go ahead, hit that subscribe button if you're getting anything out of my videos, if they're helping you any at all. Get your stuff done, put money in your pocket, save money. Hit that subscribe button and that notification bell and help me out a little bit. So I want you, before we get started, I want you to take a look at this video from installing the ledger board. Okay, I'm on the second tube now, and I just want to show you how long it takes for this to mix up. That's a lot of wasted product. I'm a little disappointed in Simpson that I'm wasting this much product to get the mix. Maybe the 2 tube cartridges would have been better. Still no mix. That's about half of the tube now. Still no mix. Here it comes. So it's starting to mix now. We finally got into a usable mix. That's about half of the tube. Really disappointed in that. So what you saw there was about $12 of wasted material. So each one of these tubes is about 25 bucks, and I bought 5 tubes. I used the Simpson calculator and it said I would need 3. I'm glad that I bought 5 because I needed all 5 of them. So this is a pretty pricey way to attach a ledger board to a wall. I think in total I spent 422 bucks by the time I bought the screens, the epoxy, the threaded rod, the nuts and the washers, and this application gun. So out of those 5 tubes, 2 of them were just horrible. I wasted over half the tube before I got the mix. And of course, in the beginning, you know, I don't read instructions like everybody else, or every other guy anyway. So what happened was I didn't realize that it was supposed to be teal green. So the first tube, I shot out, you know, a 6-inch long strip and just assumed that it was going to be a white epoxy. Typically when it's 2 parts, yes, you do get a different color. And I actually filled 4 of these screens before I saw the color changing in the tube. And then I went ahead and pulled those screens out, put new screens in, and I filled them. And then one of those, I've actually had 2 of the anchors I installed fail. One I detected right away. The other one, unfortunately, I did not detect until I was tightening the nut for the ledger board, and I actually had to extract it and install another one using a different product because my 5 tubes of Simpson Set XP were gone. So I had to go to Home Depot and just get a tube of epoxy there. It was about the same price, and miraculously it's got like 2 bags of mix in it, 2 separate bags of epoxy, and it came out pretty quick. I didn't waste a half a tube. So all in all, 3 of those Simpson tubes worked fine. I had to dispense very little epoxy to get the mix, but 2 of those tubes I had to over half of the tube before I finally started getting the mix of the 2 parts, which in my opinion was a horrible thing. So then here's what else happened. So this was not an inexpensive applicator gun by any means. And you really need a heavy duty applicator gun for this epoxy because it's so thick it's hard to push out. And the way that this mechanism works on here, it gives you a lot of extra leverage. Yeah, leverage to push the epoxy out. And so I didn't realize it at the time. Unfortunately, I wish I would have. One of the tubes leaked in the bottom. And when it leaked, it literally put epoxy all over in the bottom of this application gun. You can see it all gummed up in there. It also leaked out around this plunger and inside the back of this plunger. Well, it actually epoxied the rod in place. So I thought for sure it was shot. I started banging on it with a hammer while I was holding the release in, and it broke loose, and it's not quite what it was, but it still functions. So I was really disappointed to see that one of the tubes leaked and, you know, basically pretty close to ruined this $45 applicator gun. And then I was even more disappointed in how long it took for this product to mix up. Now, all in all, the 2 anchors that failed, let's talk about how this works real quick for a second. So you fill this screen up with epoxy without this cap installed. Once you fill it up with epoxy, you install the cap, and then you insert your anchor in through that serrated opening right there. And what happens is it pushes the epoxy out through this screen and forms, you know, a golf ball sized glob of epoxy on the back side of the hollow concrete block. And that's really and truly what locks it into place. So when you tighten it, there's just a big ball back there that it can't pull it out. So the function of the epoxy is good. It's strong. It did everything I expected it to do, except for it cost me a lot of extra money to use this epoxy because of how much I had to spend out of the tubes to get it to mix. So a little bit disappointed, I can't say a little bit, very disappointed in how much epoxy I wasted out of those 2 tubes to get the mix. So by the time that had happened and I threw away 4 screens, I threw away 4 threaded rods because they had the wrong, you know, it wasn't a mix on them, it was just the one part of the epoxy. So all in all, it probably cost me about, you know, somewhere around $60 or something. And that's kind of my bad because I didn't read the instructions. I didn't know that it should turn they call that teal. I don't know why it's not just green, but they call it teal. So, you know, I'll bite the bullet on that one. But the fact of the matter is, man, I had to throw a bunch of this out. So anyway, guys, that's what we got. Short little video. I just wanted you to know if you were planning on doing some epoxy anchors and you want to use a single cartridge product like this, do a little bit of research, do some reviews. I wish I would have done some more on this particular product, but it is what it is. So maybe you guys can find a better one. Give me some comments, let me know. I'd like to thank you for watching. If you enjoyed yourself, click on one of these 2 videos that are going to pop up right here. I'd like to give a special thanks to Tony Iaconelli and Brett Wimmer because none of this could happen without them.